We're back. It's the Daily Stripe, Fisher, Tosopoulos, Snacks, Kreider, and we have, you know what, a really special guest.
Sandler.
And a Sandler, I mean that wholeheartedly. One of the all-time greats. We haven't seen her in a long time. She's been covering the San Francisco 49ers, been up in the Bay. You know, Tracy, you were so generous and got us so many Dodgers tickets. Where are Niners tickets this season?
Well, you guys should have told me because my family does have season tickets. But
I knew it.
Before anyone bops in on this right now, we don't get playoff tickets because I make sure those season tickets are used, but I don't use them anymore. So we don't have playoff tickets. And I have been asked by multiple people, but we don't buy the playoff tickets.
Well, you don't need the playoff tickets because you're on the field.
I also just want to put it out there that I am grateful for everything that you have given us so far. Josh is the one being ungrateful. Okay.
I am top 10 grateful for sure.
I've got beef with Tracy.
Nick,
right now.
I gave you the division series. So
you did. That was amazing.
Welcome.
Thank you. The only game that we lost, that was that. So
I
you knew that was like the bad juju.
That was awesome. You know what, Tracy? Yeah, and now I'm grateful. Thank you so much for sending Nick to a playoff loss. All right. Speaking of playoff losses, how confident are you in the Niners against the Cowboys this weekend? You're right there. I mean, for those who don't know, Tracy, you have a front row ticket. You did an excellent job covering the team, obviously, but really being up close and personal with the players and getting a lot of great content with them, whether it's questions or even just kind of their walk-ins and coming out of the tunnel. You've seemingly adopted every quarterback that's come in there. Jimmy G, as if you don't know him anymore, cast aside. You're now a Brock Purdy girl. And we love the disloyalty out of you. And it
continues. Jimmy G. and Trey. Don't get me in trouble.
Sorry. What are you seeing as far as, you know what? A lot of people are making a big to-do about Brock's lack of experience in general. What are you seeing from the players really supporting him and having his back? And how are you seeing his confidence grow in the building?
I mean, his confidence has been there. I honestly felt like I did 5 fun facts with him at rookie minicamp. And then that was in May. I was like, this kid is really confident. Like he took Mr. Irrelevant in stride. He was such a good sport about it, but he was super confident. And the players have a ton of confidence in him. I'm just going to keep saying the word confident over and over and over again, but they have a lot of confidence in him and they believe in him and they think that he can take them where they need to go. And the reality is it's not all on Brock Purdy's shoulders. He just doesn't need to make mistakes, but they have Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings. The list just goes on and on. He needs to get the ball to his playmakers and not make mistakes. The defense has to do what they've been doing for the most part all season long. If we're going to talk a weakness, and we can get there later.
I mean, you list the weapons, the defensive players they have. The list for the Niners goes on and on and on. And the roster construction has been magnificent. And you go to the guy that is Mr. Irrelevant, and all of a sudden he's Mr. Relevant.
Right. Well, I have a question for you. How many games does he have to win? Or how far does he have to go to be the day one starter next season?
In my opinion, he's done enough.
Oh,
so he can lose this weekend.
What?
They could lose this weekend. He's the guy day one next year.
They could lose this weekend. I don't think they will, but yes, they could lose this weekend. Sorry, Toss. But just know I still love Luka. I love him so much. And I do love Dak. So I just want you to know that too.
I appreciate that.
They could lose this weekend, but I think the thing with Brock Purdy that has stood out the most to me, aside from all of the obvious stuff, is I've been covering this team a long time, and I've been covering it the entire Kyle Shanahan era. And Kyle Shanahan seems to trust Brock Purdy in a way that I have not seen him trust any of his other quarterbacks. Now, in fairness to Trey Lance, we have a very small sample size, and I get it because he has not played that much football, and he came in place of Jimmy Garoppolo twice last year. He started 2 games a season. He got hurt very early in week 2, so it is a very, very small sample size. But he seems to have a trust in Brock Purdy that I have not seen him have with anyone else. And that to me is why I think he's the day one starter. And for me personally, like the game that showed me that Brock Purdy was for real was the game in Seattle on December 15th, Thursday Night Football, 4 days rest. He's hurt going into one of the toughest stadiums to play in against a division rival. And they win a tough game and clinch the division. And that game to me was like, no, this kid's for real. So that's my opinion.
Let's put your GM hat on for a hot second.
Oh, I love my GM hat.
I know. Do you trade?
Is it bedazzled? The hat?
Oh, obviously. Come on.
Why would you ask such a silly? How dare you ask that question? Do you trade Trey Lance?
Well,
this could be a
no,
question for the
because
room.
so so it's funny. I've had this like hot take that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to, I mean, it's like a scorching hot take that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be on this team till the end of time. And that they would potentially trade Trey Lance, but no, because I believe Trey Lance counts for $10 million against the salary cap next year. So they're not trading Trey Lance. So I think you end up, and the other thing is Jimmy's not going to be a backup because there are plenty of teams that need a quarterback. And when he was healthy, he was playing the best football of his career. So someone is going to pay him $25-30 million to be their starting quarterback. So Jimmy's not going to be a backup here.
Well, you talk about healthy QBs, and obviously the reason why Brock gets the opportunity is because Jimmy and Trey were not healthy. But this roster and this team has been riddled with injuries for the last 3 years. Is this the healthiest the 49ers have been outside of the quarterback position? But now Brock has been thrust into the QB position and is faring incredibly well. Is this the healthiest this team has been in the playoffs in the last 2 years?
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely is healthy. I mean, even today or even yesterday's injury report on Wednesday was Jimmy Garoppolo was out, Ambry Thomas was out, Trent Williams day of rest, and limited were Juwan Jennings, Samson Ebukam, and Javon Kinlaw. And Javon Kinlaw is normally a Wednesday planned day of rest. So that is for San Francisco an extremely short injury report. I've tweeted out injury reports for this team that take like multiple tweets because there are so many people on them. And this team is as healthy as they can be. And they just got Debo back. They just got Elijah Mitchell back. So now they have, in addition to Christian McCaffrey, you have Elijah Mitchell with some very fresh legs who I talked to the other day in the locker room. And he was like, I feel great. Like I am ready to go. So I would say, yes, they are about as healthy as they can be. They may be as healthy as anyone is right now in the NFL.
Tracy, could you do me a favor next season? Obviously, this season, close out strong, keep your credentials, and do your thing.
Oh, here we go.
I'm just saying, you don't have to. First of all, no one ever has to say yes, but this is like, it's a riskier move. But if I give you like, I don't know, $100, can you just like, and you're like, okay, this is like a long injury report. Can you just like slip my name in there? Just like be like, it's like Trent Williams, Javon Kinlaw, Fred Warner, Josh Fisher, Debo say like, just like slip me in there.
What's the injury?
Hip, like day to day. Like I it's not wrong.
Sciatica.
Yeah.
What
sciatica.
if I do
small bladder?
What if I do the tweet and then like my next tweet is also Josh Fisher day to day?
Yeah.
And I won't actually give you a specific injury. Like you just generally are day to day.
And Niners fans can be like, who is this Josh Fisher? I'm looking through
I
the
will
roster
get
and I cannot
so
find
many
his practice
like
squad.
when did we sign Josh Fisher? And there will be at least 3 people who are like, I know who he is. He played tight end at the University of Pittsburgh.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like wheels are turning here. Like that's probably a realistic content PR move that we can definitely slip in if you're fully comfortable. We'll approach that.
I'm probably not going to do it, but I love talking about it. I think it's super funny.
All right. Well, a couple of beers over the Dodger game. Maybe we can convince you in August. Okay. Let's go to the weekend though. You think, how confident on a scale of 1 to 10 are you against the Dallas Cowboys in San Fran?
I think it's going to be a tough game. It's probably going to be the toughest game they've played in a while. It's going to be a very physical game. I think it'll just come down to turnovers. I really do. Who has the differential there, but I'm pretty confident. I do think the 49ers are the best team in the NFC, but I think the Cowboys and the Eagles are the teams that match up the best against them, and they will be the toughest. That being said, I do think that they are the best team in the NFC, but it'll be a close game. I don't think it'll be within 3 and 7 points. 3 to 7
What do you
points.
guys expect the ratings to be for this game? Because this is like the classic battle of the Niners and America's team, the Cowboys. Like, is this going to crush any playoff game in terms of ratings that we've ever seen?
It's 3:30 on a Sunday. It's 3:30 Eastern Sunday.
6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific.
Okay, yeah, because
That's prime time.
It's the last game of the weekend. And I think, because you also, those fan bases are huge. And both of those fan bases are absolutely. So I would imagine this one is going to be a very highly rated and watched contest.
Is your sight set on the Super Bowl realistically as, someone covering the team and being around these guys? Is it fully Super Bowl or bust? Or if this team goes to the NFC, it's like, all right, we did it with the NFC Championship. We did it with Mr. Irrelevant. Great season. We just got McCaffrey in midway. Like, let's see what we can do next year. Or is it fully like, hey, if we don't win, this is a flop?
It's the Super Bowl. They've been talking about it since like the first day of training camp. The focus of this team is the Super Bowl. And I think they believe that they can do it with Brock Purdy. And that's an interesting thing with Brock Purdy is when they went to cut the roster to 53 and we talked to John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, first of all, Brock Purdy won that position and they cut Nate Sudfeld. So that in itself was a big deal. And one of the things that John said that I thought at the time, I wasn't entirely sure if I just thought I was like, I don't know how I feel about that at the time. But he said one of the reasons, aside from the fact of him winning the competition, we didn't want to cut him and hope to sign him to the practice squad because we were very confident someone else would have. And they were very high on him. I mean, had they not signed Jimmy, it was going to be Trey as the starter and Brock as the backup. And they were 100% in on that. So I think as far as they're concerned, they can win this thing with Brock Purdy. They were very high on him coming out of the draft. Brian Griese, who is obviously the greatest quarterbacks coach of all time because he went to Michigan and he's done such a good job.
Okay, thank you. There we go.
So there we go. Yeah, I mean, I had to get some Michigan in here. But Brian Griese, I mean, like Brian Griese was really into him. They were really, really into this guy. So I think as far as they're concerned, it is still Super Bowl or bust.
Is this a team that you believe should have 3 award winners? And by that, I mean Nick winning Defensive Player of the Year, Brock winning Rookie of the Year, and also Kyle, who I think
Coach there
could potentially, like, most importantly, is he not getting enough love for this award because there are guys like Dable, guys like Sirianni, and plenty of other head coaches who have done really, really well.
Was Kyle my pick?
I think he might have been.
I think it might have been my pick, but now I was shaking my head because like the Dable thing is ridiculous to me, at least.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, not it based on regular season. I think Kyle should definitely be in the conversation. I don't think it's Nick Bosa. I think is like, if he doesn't win Defensive Player of the Year, that's insane. Like that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So Nick Bosa is definitely, in my humble opinion, the Defensive Player of the Year. I think Kyle should definitely be in the conversation. I think John Lynch should be in the conversation for Executive of the Year. But Kyle Shanahan doing what he did with his team to his 3rd quarterback is very, very impressive. And then with Brock Purdy as Rookie of the Year, I think that one's a little tougher just because he didn't
the lack of games. Yeah.
Yes, just the lack of games. I'm not saying he hasn't been great.
Sure.
But
Garrett Wilson was fantastic though. So it's tough, right? Over 1,000 yards as a rookie receiver for a Jets team that had big question marks from the QB position.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of deserving people. So that would be my only thing with Brock. But I think Defensive Player of the Year and Kyle should definitely be high in that discussion. But
definitely,
I think it'd be between him and Sirianni.
Yeah, with Brock, you mentioned that the organization was so high on him from like the actual organization and all the people inside the staff, but the team has responded so well as well. Like you look at all the players that talk about him after the games, post game, pre game, and I mean, you want to have confidence in your quarterback, but they look at him as if he's been with them since, last season almost. Like they don't look at this kid as a rookie.
Well, but I think for a lot of them, especially the defensive guys, because you get a lot of that from them as well. He's been the scout team quarterback against the number 1 defense in the league all season long. So to the defense, he's been with them not since last season, but since pretty much the beginning of the season. And I also think what a benefit that's been to him.
For sure.
Like, he's had to play against that defense every day. That's helped him tremendously. So they had seen this stuff so to them, it wasn't surprising at all.
Where do you see this team compared to the 3 teams the 2 other teams that made the Super Bowl, right? The Kaepernick team and then the previous one that Jimmy G went. Do you see this team as having the best chance, or were those teams better, you think?
I mean, that 2012 team was an incredible football team. That was really an incredible football team. I think this team, is better than the 2019 team. Maybe not significantly better, but I do think they are a little bit better than the 2019 team. The 2012 team, the thing with the 2012 team, it was such a different kind of team.
Right.
And it was also such a different time, even in the NFL.
Sure.
That I'm having a little trouble comparing, because that was really one hell of a football.
God, but the personnel on this team, though, just all across the board. When you're talking about Trent at left tackle, when you're talking about Warner, you're talking about Bosa, Debo, McCaffrey, Kittle, Ayuk, who on any other team that guy would be a wide receiver 1. Like,
did you mention Trent Williams on the offensive line?
Yeah, McGlinchey too. But like the interior guys, like, and you go on like Armstead, who's a completely unsung hero. The defensive backfield, Hufango's been great. Ward's like a staple.
Charvarius Ward, Jimmy Ward, who's like coming at nickel. I mean, Deshaun Gibson's been so good that they took Jimmy Ward, who came back when he came back healthy, and put him at nickel. Part of that was, I think, also a little about necessity, having lost Emmanuel Mosley and then moving things around. But
Yeah.
Charvarius Ward had a tough game the other day, but has been a game changer for this team.
Mm.
I mean, he's been incredible. And that's why I think it's definitely better than the 2019 team. You had Richard Sherman playing at a very high level on that team, but you have Charvarius Ward like in the prime of his career on this team.
Right.
So that also makes a little bit of a difference. But I do think it's better than the 2019 team. The 2012 team, if I have to make a decision, maybe it's a little bit better. It's just, like I said, that was one heck of a football team. And
That defense was insane.
Insane. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, they've really,
Yeah, Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman,
Yeah,
Alden, right?
Alden, and the
Yeah.
team was crazy. The thing with Lynch is, like, outside of the Lance move, which just really hasn't panned out, like, going all in on McCaffrey worked. He's drafted extremely well. Like, you could almost give him, if he doesn't get executive, of the year, he's in line for executive of the past decade. He has really strung together teams. And we talk about health. Like, how often do we talk about on our own show? I'm sure, Tracy, like, you were talking about, like, tweeting, like 99 theses long of, like,
CBS receipts,
CBS receipts worth of, like, IR reports. Like, this team constantly, like, like, one guy is always out, but finally outside of the quarterback position. And as long as you're not turning the ball over in Shanahan's system, you're getting the ball out quick to the playmakers, you're going to be successful because they're so bountiful there.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really exciting. And obviously we're rooting for the Niners, so you keep getting on the sideline.
Even Alex?
No,
I don't like
Alex, not
undoubtedly be rooting for the Cowboys. I appreciate
but
that
they're
you
your
gave
number 2 team, though.
Dak love. I do
I do love Dak. I also like to call him by his proper name, Rain Dakota.
Yes.
Who don't you love?
Rain
Dakota.
is really his proper name. It's Rain Dakota. I mean, I don't want to make a big deal of it. I'm just saying, like, that's actually his name.
Who don't you love? Like, I feel like
Who don't you love?
You're such a
I
nice
don't
person.
love Manny Machado, but let me tell you something. Next season,
Let me
when
tell you
he
something.
has an opt-out and the Padres can't afford him and the Dodgers sign him,
You
I'm
will not sign him.
love me some Manny
I
Machado.
guarantee you right now,
No
he has nothing to do with LA. If he's going anywhere, he's going to New York.
No one's nicer, and no one's any less loyal than Tracy Sandler.
Can I just say, like, on
Embrace
Dakota,
Manny.
on Dak,
Yes.
you are a truther, so I need your support here. The responses that the most of NFL media and NFL fans are having that are not Cowboys fans, that don't know quarterbacks like the back of their hand, are bringing up the fact that Dak was tops in interceptions. I can imagine that in the game plan with Kyle and the rest of the team, like, they are taking him very seriously, just as they would any other quarterback.
Yeah.
And he is a threat. I listed, I'm sure you saw, I listed him as my top QB in the NFC of the guys left. I don't think that ranking, it can be argued, but, like, they need to give him the respect that he deserves, or else they will be in trouble, because he's a guy that can turn the ball over, but he's also a guy that can take care of the rock, as he did in the last
Threw
game.
for 5 touchdowns.
Slaughtered the goat.
So
Rush for 1, right?
So is that a little unfair criticism for Dakota?
Yeah, I think it is unfair criticism for Dakota. I actually have always felt that a lot of the criticism on Dakota was unfair, and I don't know why he is not
Because
respected
he's a Cowboy.
as he should be. But he's Dak, and I love him. But anyways, I'm digressing. But I think the other thing that Dak can do, he's not like maybe a mobile quarterback, but he can run. And that is something that the 49ers defense has had trouble with, not just this year, but in years past, on quarterbacks that can run. So I would imagine their game plan is going to bring a lot of pressure to Dak and force him into throwing some of those interceptions. But I think if he can run and the Cowboys can utilize that, that's a place where they can have success against San Francisco.
Yeah. And what's crazy is that he's not even the first or second best runner in the playoffs right now in the NFC side. So they're going to have to game plan from a lot of different running quarterbacks. Yeah. But really quickly, give us your prediction for this game.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to go San Francisco 27, Dallas 21.
Okay. Josh?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
So it's a 3-point spread. So that would mean San Francisco covers.
I am going to go Dallas 28, San Francisco 24.
Ooh.
Wow. Nick?
Toss.
It's my team. I want to.
Okay. Oh, you close it out. I'm going to go 31-24 in favor of the Niners.
I'm going to go with 38-35 Cowboys are winning the game
Whoa.
on a Brett Maher game-winning
Okay.
field goal.
Oh boy.
An
Oh my God,
absolute
poor Brett
redemption story.
Maher.
No, I think
A 60-yarder.
look, like the truth of the matter is that while both of these teams have really, really good defenses, they both have high-powered offenses, and they can play a good defensive game while allowing a lot of points. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think that's what we want to watch. We want to watch both these teams score a lot. We want it to hit the over.
Yeah.
And I honestly never in a while, at least in a while, I have not been as excited to watch two defensive players go up against good offenses like Bosa and Micah Parsons. Like I'm almost as excited to watch those guys do their thing than I am to watch Brock and Dak.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Tracy Sandler, you know where to find her. You've seen her before. One of the best we got out there in the field, crushing it for the Niners. Tracy, a pleasure. Go Niners. We'll be rooting for you outside of toss and outside of my prediction, but I am pulling for the 49ers, as are most of us, I believe. For your sake, hope to have you back in LA soon and hanging out. Daily Stripe, Fisher, Tosopoulos, Snacks Crider, Sandler. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Thank you, Tracer.
Thanks, guys. Super fun.